Suits delivered sharp dialogue and shocking exits. While characters got polished send-offs, the real reasons they left were raw, personal, and far messier. This is the truth behind every major departure that changed the show forever. The exit that shook the fanbase most was Meghan Markle, who played Rachel Zane. For 7 seasons, she was involved in nearly every major storyline. When news broke that she wouldn't return for season 8, fans immediately asked, why? On screen, Rachel's departure was a model of TV closure. In the season 7 finale, she marries Mike Ross, and together, they move to Seattle to start a legal aid clinic. It was a warm, satisfying send-off, almost too perfect. But here's what most fans missed. Meghan's farewell wasn't a last-minute choice. It was a carefully considered decision, quietly forming behind the scenes long before the finale aired. Publicly, USA Network stated her contract had simply ended. Behind the scenes, however, series creator Aaron Korsh later confirmed the writing team had anticipated her departure in advance. During Meghan's engagement period, Korsh explained that he had known for nearly a year that her life was heading in a new direction. At the time, her relationship with Prince Harry was still speculative, but the trajectory was clear. Rather than forcing difficult conversations or risking a rushed storyline, the writers gradually built a send-off that felt organic and respectful. When Meghan and Harry officially announced their engagement in 2017, the preparation paid off. Rachel Zane's on-screen exit coincided with Meghan stepping away from Hollywood entirely to join the British royal family. Meghan herself addressed her departure in engagement-era interviews, describing it as closing one chapter rather than making a sacrifice. After 7 seasons and over 100 episodes, she said she had ticked that box and felt proud of her work on the series. For her, it wasn't walking away, it was moving forward into a new phase of life. Her exit became one of the most unusual transitions in television history, a cable drama star to a global public figure almost overnight. While she stepped away from scripted acting, Meghan later returned to the media through documentaries and lifestyle projects with Harry, including Harry and Meghan on Netflix, and later ventures like With Love, Meghan. If Meghan's departure was a fairy tale, Patrick J. Adams' exit was anything but simple. Patrick played Mike Ross from the first episode, making him one of the show's central figures. When he announced he would leave at the end of season 7, the fan base reacted with shock. Losing both Mike and Rachel in one sweep was unthinkable. The reason for Patrick's exit was the result of creative exhaustion and personal strain that had been building for years. Speaking with The Hollywood Reporter in 2018, Patrick admitted that by the end of season 6, he felt Mike Ross's story had reached a natural conclusion. After the prison arc and subsequent redemption storyline, Patrick felt the character had no further meaningful growth. Creatively, he believed he had explored everything the role could offer. At the same time, the physical reality of filming Suits was becoming increasingly difficult. The show was shot in Toronto for nearly 10 months each year, keeping Patrick away from home for long stretches. In the same interview, he acknowledged how draining that schedule had become, especially as he and his wife, Troian Bellisario, were beginning to think seriously about starting a family. Years later, on the Dinners on Me podcast in 2024, Patrick added another layer of context that reframed his departure entirely. During season 7, he struggled privately with depression and unhealthy coping habits. He spoke openly about drinking too much, feeling overwhelmed, and realizing he didn't yet have the tools to manage the pressure that came with leading a long-running series. Leaving Suits wasn't impulsive, it was necessary to protect his mental health. The impact of his departure was immediate. Losing Mike Ross shifted the show's dynamic, forcing writers to adjust storylines and focus on new characters. For Patrick, stepping away allowed a personal and creative reset, giving him space to rebuild outside the series. In a move that surprised and delighted fans, he later returned for the final season to give Mike Ross the closure viewers had hoped for. His exit remains one of the most emotional turning points in the entire series. Now, let's talk about the first cast member to ever leave the show, Gina Torres, who played Jessica Pearson. For 6 seasons, she was the backbone of Pearson Hardman, a powerful, authoritative presence and, at times, the moral center of the show. When she left at the end of season 6, fans wondered if the series could survive without her. On screen, Jessica decides to leave New York for Chicago to pursue a career in politics. But the real story behind Gina's departure was the result of a deeply personal decision that had been building quietly behind the scenes. In interviews with outlets such as the New York Times, Gina confirmed that her contract had ended and that the choice not to renew it was entirely hers. Filming Suits in Toronto while her family and life were based in Los Angeles had created a constant strain. She chose to step away to regain balance and focus on her life outside of work. Around the same period, Gina and her then-husband Lawrence Fishburne later separated. While Gina never directly connected that personal change to her decision to leave Suits, the timing stood out to fans and commentators looking back on the moment. Jessica Pearson's departure forced the show to redefine its power structure, opening room for other characters to grow. Gina later reprised her role in the 2019 spin-off Pearson, which followed Jessica's political career in Chicago. Although the series lasted only one season, it allowed Gina to fully complete the character's journey. She also returned to Suits for guest appearances, giving longtime viewers a sense of closure while preserving Jessica Pearson's legacy as one of the show's most iconic characters. While he was never a series regular, Wendell Pierce, who played Robert Zane, felt like part of the Suits family from the moment he stepped on screen. Robert exits Suits in Season 8 after taking the fall for Samantha Wheeler, accepting disbarment to protect her career. That emotional sacrifice had nothing to do with drama in the writer's room, but it was shaped by practical realities unfolding outside the show. While Wendell Pierce was never a full-time series regular, his continued appearances required frequent travel to Toronto, where Suits was filmed. Around the time Robert Zane was written out, Wendell's schedule had become increasingly difficult to manage due to multiple professional commitments. During this period, Wendell was a series regular on Amazon's Jack Ryan, a production that demanded a significant amount of time and limited his availability. In addition, he had committed to a major stage production of Death of a Salesman in London, which directly overlapped with Suits filming dates. Rather than framing the exit as a creative fallout, the writers used Robert Zane's disbarment as a dignified narrative conclusion. This honored the character's arc while accommodating Wendell's career trajectory. And while Wendell exited because life took him in another direction, Rick Hoffman's battles came from something much closer to home. For all 9 seasons of Suits, only a few actors faced the intensity of Rick Hoffman, who played Louis Litt. Louis was explosive, insecure, brilliant, and deeply emotional. A character fans loved for his complexity and unpredictability. But playing him came with immense off-screen challenges. Rick has openly discussed in Entertainment Weekly how demanding it was to sustain Louis' energy. The role required constant emotional swings, shouting, vulnerability, rage, and triumph, often within a single scene. Maintaining that level of intensity over multiple seasons tested him both psychologically and physically. On top of that, filming in Toronto for extended periods while managing family life added pressure. While Rick never cited this as a reason to step away, the cumulative strain was undeniable. His endurance eventually paid off. Louis Litt evolved from a divisive supporting character into one of Suits' most layered and beloved figures. His performance became a defining element of the series, delivering one of the most complete character developments in the show's history. Those were the cast members to leave the show and why they left. Make sure to subscribe to see more videos like this one. Thanks for watching.